What is going on, world? What's up, YouTube? It's Zero here. Today I'm bringing you guys a brand new episode of the Gears Cast. Welcome everyone to the Gears Cast, the best Gears of War podcast here on YouTube. And I'm super excited about our episode here today. We have a lot of stuff to talk about, so let's get into it. As a reminder of our scheduled daily programming, obviously, guys, on Mondays is the Gears Cast, which is, of course, the Gears of War podcast, which you're going to be watching here today. And then on Tuesdays is the Resistance, which is the Watch Dogs podcast. On Wednesdays is Zero Dark, which is the Call of Duty podcast. Thursdays is the Last Cast, which is the Last of Us podcast. Fridays is For the Swarm, which is the StarCraft podcast. And then on Saturdays is the 8 Below show, which is our entertainment and gaming show. And then on Sunday is Zero Questions, Zero Answers, which is the Q&A show. So full lineup of content. Thank you so much for all the support, guys. Let's get into the Gears Cast episode 3. In a recent post from the official Gears of War Twitter page, they posted, guys, a picture and tweeted stating, "Got a big week of gardening planned." And so, guys, when I saw this picture, this is, to me, a pretty, pretty basic photo, right? But if we kind of start thinking about what this could mean for the future Gears of War, a lot of people are talking about, different characters that are going to be coming out, whether it's in future operations or in our current operation we're in at this point in time, that what Gears of War is basically stating, as well as the Coalition are stating, that they're cooking up something, right? And so what I got to say, though, about this photo in particular is obviously that they are working on a number of things behind the scenes. I think we can all can agree that most likely they're working on some stuff. They are working on, whether we're talking about new characters, if we're talking about potentially some new maps, whether they're giving us hints as to whatever, certain, whatever it might be, they are working on new things. And I think that's a really great thing, guys, at the end of the day. When we look at this, and this photo in particular just shows some tomato plants, it looks like, with a can of tomato sauce potentially or something. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, what they're stating, in my personal opinion, guys, is that they have a lot of things planned. They obviously have a big week coming up. However, I think this is also for, the longer term, right? Whether we're talking about the next operation, the next Gears of War game, the next update, the next patch, whatever it is, what they're stating is, and this is what I love so much about the direction right now that Gears of War and the Coalition are taking, is that they are working on things on a consistent basis. They're trying to bring out consistent title updates. They're trying to bring out patches, consistent operations over time as well. So this is leading me to believe that there are a lot of things that they're still working on behind the scenes. Now, sure, we know that they're working on Gear 6 at this point, but at the same time, guys, they're working on new things as well. And you can only take so much from an image that's posted on Twitter and a tweet that states, "Got a big week of gardening planned." But at the same time, guys, you really can look at this and think to yourself that they're definitely working on a number of things. Think of it as, the tomatoes on the plant, right? They might have a number of those. Because think of it this way, a lot of these games out there, they give you Easter eggs within their images, whether it's on Twitter, whether it's within the actual game itself. There are Easter eggs a lot of times, guys, even in images, and Gears of War is no stranger to this. And so I think that there could very well be some Easter eggs that we could come back to at some point or another. We'll just have to figure out what those are. Whether you have to count all of the tomatoes on the plant, and that's how many, new characters are coming in the next operation, or, whatever it might be, there are certainly some Easter eggs within this image that I think that we'll come to find out about more of as time goes. But I'm excited, guys. There are big things, I think, that are coming from Gears of War and from the Coalition in the future here, whether we're talking about this current operation or future operations, or if we're talking about Gear 6, which I would say, guys, is probably going to get announced at some point next year. But let me know what you guys think about. What are you guys kind of breaking down from this image that was posted by the official Gears of War Twitter account? Let me know what you guys think, and let's have a real conversation about it. Gear 6 has been confirmed by Rod Ferguson, studio head at the Coalition, before he left to go to Blizzard. He also stated, guys, that Gear 7 is confirmed, as well as a Gears of War movie. Well, nonetheless, we're going to be talking about Gears 6 here in this segment of the show. And I know we've talked about Gears 6, guys, but I think one of the big things that people have been talking about in the community is moving forward, what game modes would we love to see moving forward in Gears 6, whether that be a game mode to return or a new mode altogether. So I want to go ahead and talk about those things here in this segment of the show. So let's get into it. So I want to talk about what mode should return to Gears 6. So number one, guys, right off the bat, the first one that comes to mind for me is Beast Mode. If you guys remember from Gears of War 3, which in my opinion was the greatest Gears of War game ever made, and it still pretty much holds up to this day, Gears of War 3 had Beast Mode, which was a mode in which it was kind of like a role reversal where during Horde mode, instead of playing as, of course, the regular cogs, you would play as the Swarm. And so you would play as a Ticker or a Cantus or, whatever, character it is on the opposite side of the playing field. And it was a very interesting concept, which I think could have had a number of evolutions over time, but we haven't gotten it in these newer Gears of War titles. And so the game mode that I would love to see return in Gears 6 is Beast Mode. I think that's a game mode that had a lot of fan appeal, and I believe that it's one that could actually get some continuations and additions as we go throughout. Now, obviously, guys, a lot of people, the main mode is Horde mode, which we obviously want a continuation of that moving into Gear 6. But Beast Mode, guys, I thought was a really unique and a really fun mode, to say the least. It was definitely another one that kind of, during your time playing Gears of War, it really balanced whatever it was you were doing, whether you wanted to play the traditional Horde mode, you wanted to play Beast Mode, you wanted to play the multiplayer modes. Gears of War has done a great job of creating these amazing modes, guys, that really give us as a community a bunch of different things that we can do within this universe and in this world. And so I think Beast Mode coming back would be a huge thing. I also would like to see a return of Escape Mode from Gears 5 to Gears 6. Escape Mode's pretty cool, guys, and I love how it's getting consistent updates. I hope that we get Beast Mode and that gets consistent updates as well, but Escape Mode is really cool as well. I would love to see that return into Gear 6 and maybe even take some, different twists and turns, from a story perspective. I think that it kind of adds more lore to what's already being built now with Gears of War. So I would love to see Escape Mode return as well. A mode, guys, that this is more so the esports side, and we've talked about this before, but I want to see, even though I want to see Escalation continue into Gears 6, I would like to see the esports side go to Execution, which is a mode, obviously, that's been kind of held up over time, but I want to see Execution the main esports mode, so I'm hoping that there's a change from Escalation to Execution. I just think Execution is like a search and destroy type of style, which is a lot easier for new viewers to understand, so I would love to see Execution, become the new esports mode moving into Gear 6. And other than that, guys, I mean, look, I think we have more ways now than we ever did before of being able to connect with the Gears of War franchise. Whether you're talking from Gears 5, Gears Tactics, Gears Pop, whatever it is, guys, there's a number of ways to connect, and it's only going to continue expanding with Gears 6 and then into Gears 7. Who knows what else could come along the way. I think that this world is being built more and more. It's up to us to continue the growth of it and continue, trying to create new content and stream the game and have real conversation about these titles and the things that we would like changed or brought back. And so I want to pass the question on to all of you. What game mode or modes would you like to return to Gears 6? And if we were to bring up a brand new game mode altogether, I mean, guys, there's a lot of different game modes out there that could be really interesting in my personal opinion. Now, one of those being Battle Royale is the big one, obviously, to me. Now, I know a lot of people have mixed feelings about BR. However, a Gears of War BR could be something really special, in my personal opinion. Now, I'm not saying, guys, that, it would be as big as Apex or as big as, Warzone or as big as Fortnite or one of these other ones, but I think it could definitely coexist in this ecosystem of the Battle Royale genre. BR is something that could be really great for Gears of War. I think it's just another way that we can continue connecting with the franchise as a whole. And I also think, guys, that this is a way that it could actually grow even more than ever before as a franchise. I mean, there's just more ways that you're connecting. There's more people that are more eyeballs that would be on the game. You think Halo Infinite very well might have a BR mode as well. There's been a lot of talk of that. Also, Halo Infinite is going to be free to play from a multiplayer perspective. That's a big deal. And so if Gears of War does things of that nature, this could become a really nice-sized franchise for us, even though it already is a nice-sized franchise, but we want to see this grow even more, guys. Go to the next level and just continue its growth over time. But I would love to hear from you guys, though. What game mode or modes would you want to see brought into Gear 6, like brand new game modes? I mean, would it be BR? Would it be something completely else? Let me know what you guys think, and let's have a real conversation about it. You guys have heard my thoughts about Kate Diaz as a character. I absolutely love this character in the Gears of War franchise, and really, obviously, you know, most recently Gears 5 as a whole. And what I will say is this. Kate Diaz is a great character, even though I don't, you know, necessarily as a character, I wish we would have been able to play as JD Phoenix or Marcus Phoenix in Gears 5, even if it was like one last time before, you know, we passed the torch on to Kate Diaz. Nonetheless, I absolutely love this character. And I cannot wait to see where her narrative and where, you know, her story kind of goes as well, moving into Gear 6 and then into Gear 7 if you know, if that continues in that format. But let's just talk about Gear 6 here. Kate Diaz, obviously, at the very end of Gears 5, it pretty much looks like we're going to continue helming, taking control of her as the playable character. And as we go throughout this world, and continuing to pretty much go and try to take down the horde and the swarm for all that it's worth, essentially, in Gear 6, or whether it's going to continue and conclude with Gear 7 is another conversation for another day. But from what it looks like at the end of Gears 5, it doesn't look like, you know, Kate Diaz is necessarily the one behind all of it. However, you know, we don't know where this story's going to go. I made a video, guys, on the YouTube channel talking about, you know, Kate Diaz and the possibilities that she was actually secretly the Swarm Queen kind of thing. And obviously in Gears 5, that proved to be false. However, could she still be, you know, the Swarm Queen? I absolutely think so, and here's why. The Coalition did a really good job in Gears 5 with the marketing, kind of trying to tease this idea that maybe, just maybe, she is turning towards, basically becoming the queen of the Swarm. And while they were doing that, it kind of got everyone talking like, oh, maybe she's actually the queen. And then when Gears 5 did come out, we find out that no, she's not. But at the same time, I'm wondering if this is just another kind of tactic that the Coalition is doing, whereas they're giving us hints that she is the Swarm Queen, but then as the story has progressed, you know, it's kind of taking a back seat. So now we're not thinking about it. We're not thinking, oh, Kate Diaz is probably not the queen now. You know, obviously she's not, and they're going to go after the Swarm for all that it's worth and try to end this thing once and for all. Well, at the end of the day, though, guys, I believe that there is a possibility. Here's a narrative that, you know, we don't know if it's going to play out or not, and all I will say is that it would be very interesting if this is what happened. Gear 6 comes out, and we play as Kate Diaz, and halfway through the game, or at the very end of the game, we find out that she has accepted the Swarm and becoming the queen of the Swarm. And then moving into Gears 7, we take the helm as either JD or Marcus to take down Kate Diaz, or, you know, the queen, as well as the rest of the Swarm, for all that it's worth, to end it all, essentially. To really find out all of the origins and everything that's kind of, that this entire, you know, story has entailed. There's a possibility that that could happen. Or halfway through Gears 6, Kate accepts the Swarm, or already accepted in Gears 5, we just don't know it yet. And then, she becomes the queen of the swarm. We take the helm as JD once again, unless Canon, whatever Canon's going to be, because at the end of Gears 5, we don't know if Del or JD, which one of them dying is going to be Canon. We don't know. But at the end of the day, once we get to Gears, 6 or Gears 7, I'm wondering if Kate is still going to be the queen of the swarm. And this is going to be a real, psychological type of tactic that the coalition is utilizing to kind of confuse people, to confuse us into thinking it's one thing, or it's, that she's not the queen anymore at any point, or, whatever it might be. I believe, guys, that there's a real possibility that Kate Diaz is still the main villain here, is still the, she is going to become the queen of the swarm. She still holds the medallion and obviously a Locust Horde symbol close to her heart. And, it's something that is a very interesting question that I'm going to pass on to all of you guys. Do you think that Kate Diaz is the queen of the swarm? All in all, did she accept it, or is she going to move forward? Are we going to be Kate Diaz the rest of the series, that being Gear 6 into Gear 7? Like I said, I would have really liked to play as JD one more time. I didn't like the character direction that they took JD, making him seem like a douchebag in Gears 5. I did not like that, but I would have liked to play JD one more time before passing the torch on to Kate Diaz, or even Marcus one last time. One last hurrah with Marcus would have been really cool before moving on to Kate Diaz. But nonetheless, I'm sure the coalition has a plan for how they're going to structure Kate Diaz moving into Gears, 6 and then into Gears 7. It's going to be interesting, guys. And I think that there could be some real twists and turns that we're not really seeing that are going to come at some point. So let me know. What do you guys think? Do you think Kate Diaz is still secretly the villain here, is actually going to become the Swarm Queen in Gear 6 or Gear 7? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below, and let's have a real conversation about it. With the Xbox Series X release just around the corner, I want to talk about a question that's came up a number of times, and I think to a lot of people the answer is obvious, but if you look a lot closer between the lines, this is something that is a big question that needs to be answered for Xbox, and that one is, guys, is Gear 6 or Halo Infinite, which one is more imperative and more important to the overall success of the Xbox Series X? So let's talk about it. So at the time, guys, of the recording of this video, Halo Infinite has been delayed until 2021, which means that it is going to miss that release of coming out or being a launch title, alongside Xbox Series X, which is an absolute huge blow to the Xbox Series X as far as from a sales perspective. Now, we've talked about this as well, that Xbox is not necessarily, they're competing obviously against PlayStation, but for Xbox, they're more so looking at not necessarily the number of sales they've had with the Xbox Series X, they're looking at the number of subscriptions that they're getting for Xbox Game Pass. They're all in on Game Pass. Obviously, they want to sell the Xbox Series X really well as well. However, they're more in on this from a perspective of trying to give us the most powerful console, as well as giving us an experience where a subscription service that is the best in the industry, and it's not even close. However, Halo Infinite was going to be that launch title that was going to sell a number of consoles out there. It just was, guys. It's Halo. It's one of the most beloved first-person shooters of all time, and people have been wanting a true continuation of this franchise, from the downfall that was Halo 5. And so, look, at the end of the day, I look at Halo Infinite as being a really important title for Xbox Series X. However, Gear 6 is also going to be a huge title for the continued success of Xbox Series X. Look, at the end of the day, the Xbox Game Pass is really what is going to be the driving force here, in my opinion, because it's the Netflix of gaming. They're creating more exclusives than any other, console out there. And what they're trying to do is give you a library of games that you'll be able to play for, a 1 monthly fee. And that's a big deal. Halo Infinite, Gears 6, all included in that. And so Halo Infinite was going to be the real, story here for Xbox Series X that was going to get so many people to buy the Xbox Series X. With that not happening, I do think the Xbox Series X is going to struggle in a significant way to sell a lot of consoles, especially at launch, because there's not very many launch titles right off the bat. When you look at Xbox Game Pass, a lot of those games are obviously going to be available. They're available right now straight on the Xbox One. So why do you need to necessarily get the Xbox Series X right at launch? You don't need to, because there's not that much that's really coming out. Now, if they had other games coming out with Halo Infinite, that being like, the Fable reboot, Gear 6, a number of other titles, then it would really sell well, in my opinion. But now that there aren't that many launch titles here with the Xbox Series X, it's going to struggle until probably Halo Infinite comes out. Now, back to the question here. Which one is going to be more imperative? I think Halo obviously was going to be very important from a launch perspective, but Gear 6 I think is going to be really important for Xbox Series X, for the continued success of the Xbox Series X. So let's just put it in perspective. If Halo Infinite comes out sometime in 2021, Gear 6 is probably going to come out in 2022 or 2023. Obviously, we're going to need some games here that are going to continue the success of the Xbox Series X moving forward after Halo Infinite. And so I just don't think that the Xbox is in a very great position right now, even though Xbox Game Pass is the best subscription service in the industry. With the PS5 coming out as well, there's going to be so much competition here. I think the price point is going to need to be something that Xbox really considers to really sell, a lot of consoles. But the PlayStation, they've got their own exclusives as well. And so when I look at it, I believe that actually when Halo Infinite finally does release, that's what's really going to kickstart the Xbox Series X into getting a lot of those consoles sold. And then, of course, moving into Gear 6, I think it's going to continue it moving forward. Both of these franchises are very imperative for the Xbox Series X and the success of Xbox moving forward. They are the two biggest franchises in all of Xbox's history at this point. Now, look, Fable is obviously one that's very important as well to Xbox, but as far as from an exclusive standpoint, Halo and Gears are definitely at the top. Fable, we'll see what happens with the reboot here. It definitely could join those other two as being, another heavy hitter. I mean, even some of these other games that are coming out, guys, that are exclusive to Xbox could certainly help along the way. The new State of Decay game, and the Perfect Dark reboot. There's a number of games out there that could really help over time. But when you look at a console, and you look at why am I going to buy this console over that console? Or if you want, and you're like me, you just buy all the consoles because they all have great, exclusives here or there, and they all give you a certain experience. The Xbox Series X, you're buying this because of Halo and Gears, and then, of course, all of the stuff that's on Xbox Game Pass overall. There's just so much reason to get the Xbox Game Pass. And what I will say is this. Xbox One is, with Xbox Game Pass, is obviously they're building something, I think, pretty special here. It's going to be really important, though, that Halo really does well. And because it's delayed, it's probably going to be a better game. I think we can all agree to that. It's just going to hurt the launch of the Xbox Series X. Gear 6 is obviously not coming out for probably another couple of years. And, some of these other titles, they may, some of them are going to come out next year. But it's hard to say, is that going to be enough reason to buy the Xbox Series X? I think Halo was the most important for the launch, and I think Gear 6 was the most important for the continued success of the Xbox Series X. But all of it is yet to be seen, guys. I think both of these games need to do really well. I think Halo Infinite was actually more important because it was going to be the launch title. But now that it's coming out, in 2021, who knows, guys? It's going to be an interesting one, and I'll definitely keep you guys all up to speed as more information comes out. Let me know, though, which series is more important to Xbox? Is it Halo or is it Gears of War? I would probably say Halo, guys, because it's so beloved for so long. Gears of War didn't come out until the 360, so I think there, certainly Halo has more nostalgia to it, but Gears of War is definitely, at this point in time, a bigger franchise, in my opinion. Halo Infinite, though, we'll see if that really puts Halo back in the forefront and in the driver's seat. But let me know, like I said, guys, in the comment section down below what you guys think, and let's have a real conversation about it. And with that being said, everyone, I hope you guys did enjoy this episode of the Gears Cast. And if you guys did, leave a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, stay positive, and as always, I'll talk to you guys all in the next one. Peace.